I dedicated 22 years of my life to my fans, and now they turn on me.
Do you regret ever getting involved in...
I didn't have a choice. It got bad when I was about 15 years old.
This was Aaron Carter, a child star, begging for help on camera, literally announcing to the world that he feared for his life.
Not supposed to happen, we're gonna get in trouble.
Those were Ellen's producers, panicked, terrified of something going wrong behind the scenes.
I was at a Diddy party. I was one of the party favors.
That was a survivor, speaking. Now, here's what nobody connected before. Ellen wasn't just attending those parties. Dave Chappelle just revealed she had direct access. And Rob Schneider is confirming everything. But here's what they're not telling you. For decades, Ellen DeGeneres built an empire on a lie. The lie was simple: be kind. It was a mantra that made her relatable, a philosophy that earned her billions, a shield that made her untouchable. But behind closed doors, behind the dancing segments and the giveaways and the interviews with A-list celebrities, something profoundly different was happening. For years, the whispers existed. Comedians knew, producers knew, staff members signed NDAs and stayed silent. But nobody connected the dots until Dave Chappelle did, and until Rob Schneider, a man who survived his own assault at the hands of a powerful Hollywood director, started piecing together the larger pattern. What we're about to break down isn't just about Ellen's cruelty as a boss. This goes deeper. This is about a system, a network, a deliberate infrastructure designed to exploit, silence, and destroy. Dave Chappelle didn't just wake up one day and decide to call out Ellen. He's been studying the footage, resurfacing old interviews, looking at timelines, and what he found was damning. Ellen's relationship with Diddy wasn't distant, it wasn't casual, it was consistent, strategic, and documented.
So tell me about your birthday party. Am I invited?
Yes. Yes, you're definitely invited. I invite you to all my parties, you just haven't seemed to show up.
No, well, is it on the East Coast?
Yes.
Well, that's why. Why don't you have one here on the West Coast? Because I work all the time.
Okay, well, maybe I have one at your house.
Where's that?
Listen to that exchange. Ellen isn't asking, she's fishing. She's trying to get information about Diddy's private environments, about the parties, about access. Now, here's where it gets critical. Everything we now know about Diddy's private events, the controlled spaces, the invite-only rooms, the hidden cameras, the unspeakable acts, those were happening. And Ellen had the kind of access that suggests she knew the rules of the room. Chappelle's analysis didn't stop there. He started looking at the people around Ellen, the people who worked with her, the young talents who appeared on her show, and he found a pattern so disturbing that it connects her directly to Diddy's network.
And he knows better than to be talking about the things that he does with Big Brother Puff on national television. He's having 48 hours with Diddy, him and his boy. They're having the times of their lives.
That was about Justin Bieber, a teenage superstar, spending 48 hours with Diddy under the watch of people who profited from keeping quiet. And Ellen, she was right there, normalizing it on her show, making jokes about it, inviting him to her house, the comments about his age, the gifts, the flirtation masked as comedy. Chappelle suggests that Ellen wasn't just a bystander to a culture that exploited Bieber. She was actively participating, normalizing the behavior, operating under the shield of comedy. But the connections don't stop with Bieber. Aaron Carter was the evidence that nobody wanted to see. He was a child star, talented, vulnerable, exactly the kind of young person that predatory systems target. Chappelle has connected the dots in Aaron's story in a way that forces us to confront something horrifying. Aaron wasn't just experiencing random trauma. He was trapped in a system, and he was screaming for help the entire time.
I go on my Twitter and I see people saying, "You look like you have AIDS, you should go die." I don't understand how I dedicated 22 years of my life to my fans, and now they turn on me.
Do you regret ever getting involved in...
I didn't have a choice. It got bad when I was about 15 years old.
That's a human being in pain, publicly, but people were laughing. Then he escalated.
It got bad when I was about 15 years old.
And I'm begging you and I'm pleading you, help me raise $100,000 as soon as I can so I can move to an undisclosed location where I am safe. They had cops come and check for a rope in my garage saying I wanted to hang myself.
Aaron wasn't just asking for money. He was describing psychological warfare. Someone had convinced law enforcement that he was suicidal. Someone had set him up to look insane. And Aaron was trying to escape. He named Sony Records, a label allegedly controlled by Diddy at the time.
Sony Records owes me $3.5 million and they don't want to pay me, and it would be in their better interest, just like Michael told me. They owe me money and they're trying to off. And I'm begging you and I'm pleading you, help me.
He called it, he said, off. He was describing a system designed to silence him. And then Aaron Carter died. The official ruling was an accidental drowning. But here's what Chappelle is suggesting. Aaron's timeline, his access to these predatory environments, his vocal fear, his desperate pleas for help, those weren't coincidences. That was a pattern, a documented pattern of silencing. And Ellen's proximity to that network, that matters. Because she had the kind of access and social capital to know exactly what was happening. And she she said nothing. Two people tried to expose Ellen. Both died within months of Ellen shutting down her show. Anne Heche was Ellen's ex-girlfriend. She knew Ellen intimately. She saw behind the curtain. Before her death in that fiery car crash, Anne was doing something dangerous. She was talking.
Hopefully I have some more intelligence, I know I do, around it because I've studied it to be able to communicate a little bit better about what happened 20 years ago and the fact that it's taken us 20 years to be able to be at a point where we can listen to the truth again.
And Ellen's fine. She can sit on her pile of money.
I hope you like your money because that's why I broke up with you. Do you like sitting on your piles of cash? Because guess what? It gets you exactly where you are.
Anne wasn't just criticizing Ellen's greed. She was signaling that she knew something big enough to dedicate years to understanding, something worth breaking up over. And she was working on a documentary about trapped children. Then she had a car accident, severe burns, died in a hospital. Stephen Twitch, Ellen's DJ and co-producer, died next. A self-inflicted gun wound, they said. He left a note. He couldn't go on. But here's the pattern. Both people were in positions to expose Ellen. Both were close to her. Both died under circumstances that silenced them. Rob Schneider is connecting these dots because he's lived this story from the inside. Rob Schneider didn't start his career as an exposer of Hollywood corruption. He became one because he had no choice. He was assaulted by a famous director, a man powerful enough to be untouchable, a man who worked on big movies, a man who knew he could do it and walk away.
When I was a young actor, I was asked to go to a hotel room of a director. It was a famous director, and I didn't think anything weird by it because it never happened to me. And so I went, and he was in his robe. I still didn't think it was weird. Well, he probably just came out of the shower or whatever. And then he asked me to do, to do the scene and then crawl on my belly around it, and then it got to a weird place.
Rob is describing a predatory situation wrapped in the language of the industry, a scene, a professional context, something that seemed normal until it wasn't. He continued.
When I've seen online, like Rob Schneider, I don't believe anyone would sexually harass Rob Schneider. He's not good looking enough. And so, that's what's not. So now I understand.
Somebody said that?
Yes, not just several people said that. But I get why women, why they wouldn't want to talk about it. If they say that to me about me, imagine other women. It's humiliating. Why would you want to admit this happened?
And here's the critical part. When Rob tried to expose the person who assaulted him, the system protected the predator. Not one, but multiple people defended the assaulter. They made fun of Rob. They silenced him. That's the system.
When I was
looking for a job.
When I was a young actor, any men in positions of power who could use that power to abuse.
Rob has been studying this his entire career post-assault. He understands the mechanics. He knows how it works. And he's saying that Ellen is part of that exact system. Not just a user of it, but a facilitator of it. While Ellen was running her talk show empire, her self-proclaimed best friend Oprah was operating something else, a school in Africa for girls. And it was a disaster.
Shortly after the school opened, a matron of the school was charged with touching several of the girls in a very inappropriate manner. When the crime eventually came to light, Oprah herself went to fire the school's headmistress. Then, in another incident that happened in 2011, law enforcement investigated the body of a newborn that was found in one of the students' bags.
A newborn found in a student's bag. Multiple sexual assault allegations. 7 students suspended for harassing classmates. And the matron found not guilty on the assault charges, which raises serious questions about how that investigation was conducted. Rob Schneider is suggesting that Ellen and Oprah weren't just friends. They were operating parallel infrastructure. Ellen had the talk show pipeline for accessing young talent. Oprah had the school, both environments where power imbalances meant young people were vulnerable. Rob believes that the agenda they're trying to deliver and the message they're sending is the same. That's the claim. Not that they're directly connected in every action, but that they share the same philosophy, the same worldview, the same comfort with exploitation. Before we even get to the darker allegations, there's a baseline. Ellen was a monster to work for, not metaphorically, literally. Former employees describe her workspace as toxic, racist, intimidating.
I walk into her office, which was the writer's room. It was like a loungy kind of writer's room. And I walk in and I'm standing in the middle of the floor and she goes, "Oh, we got the new writer. Let's take a look at you." Okay, turn around. And that was my first thought of like, oh, this is going to be that. This is going to be Me as the guy.
Ellen was running a show where she objectified her staff on the first day, where she had people scared to make eye contact with her, where she would scream at employees until they cried. One producer who worked with her broke down why her Netflix special was so offensive.
I felt Ellen was not taking responsibility at all. She was sugarcoating it.
She made jokes about being kicked out of show business for being mean. She talked about therapy and hatred, but she never actually addressed what she did. She never took responsibility for the system she created. Then she fled the country. Ellen tried to paint Dakota Johnson as a bad person on her show. She lied. She said Dakota hadn't invited her to a party. Dakota shut her down, live, on air. Ellen lied, saying that Dakota hadn't invited her to her party. Ellen thought Dakota would let her lie and paint her as the bad guy, something Ellen had done comfortably with dozens of other celebrities. Unfortunately for Ellen, Dakota wasn't about to sit back and be slandered on national TV. She revealed that Ellen had been lying. After that interview aired, dozens of celebrities came forward. They all had similar stories. Ellen was a liar. Ellen was manipulative. Ellen used her platform to destroy people. Taylor Swift described what that felt like.
I was like 23 and people were just like kind of reducing me to like kind of making slideshows of like my dating life and putting people in there that I'd sat next to at a party once and deciding that my songwriting was like a trick rather than a skill and a craft. Kind of, it's a way to take a woman who's doing her job and succeeding at doing her job and making things, and it's in a way it's figuring out how to completely minimize that skill by taking something that everyone, you know, in their darkest moments loves to do, which is to slut shame.
Ellen's methodology wasn't new. She was using her platform to shame young women, to minimize them, to make them smaller. That was her brand. That was her power move. Kathy Griffin, who has been in the comedy business her entire life, made something clear.
I just love giving Ellen shit because it just never gets old. She just can't stand it. She has no sense of humor about herself. We had a fight one time that was a knockdown drag out, screaming on the phones, both of us screaming. And I think that's so funny. Like, picture Kathy Griffin and Ellen DeGeneres split screen.
What are you
both
yelling
with
about?
our cell phones and assistants screaming at each other.
Over what?
She thought Joan Rivers was not funny, but Joan was just mean. And I think Joan was not only not mean, but she was a genius, but also that Ellen kind of owed part of her career to the fact that Joan was the first woman to have a talk show, broke the glass ceiling for women in talk, whether you like her or not.
Without a shadow of a doubt, every female comedian to ever step up to a mic or tell a joke.
And by the way, Joan would thank Phyllis Diller. Phyllis Diller would thank Moms Mabley. Moms Mabley and Toady Fields. Like, we're pretty good about knowing.
Gave me chills in a weird way.
Yeah. And so anyway, I just make fun of Ellen because she doesn't take it.
And Margaret Cho, who opened for Ellen back in the 1980s, said,
Ellen was like really weird and not nice to me for most of my career. And like, because I opened for her in the 1980s. Oh, you did? When she was a headliner in comedy clubs and not way before her big fame.
Uh-huh.
And so then when I would do her talk show in the 2000s, she acted like we just met. And I'm like,
What of those times?
I'm like, what? Like, that's weird. Like,
Right.
it's like we go way back.
Ellen didn't just forget people, she erased them. She operated like connections didn't exist unless they were currently useful to her. Now, let's connect this back to the core allegation. Dave Chappelle has evidence that Ellen participated in Diddy's private events, not just attended them, had consistent, documented access. And those private events, as we now know, weren't just parties, they were torture sessions.
I was at a Diddy party. I was one of the party favors. But I told you, nobody tells on Diddy.
A survivor described being used as a party favor. That's not metaphorical language. That's trafficking. The federal raids revealed hidden cameras, rooms designed for control, evidence of non-consensual acts. And Ellen, according to Chappelle's analysis, had the kind of access to those spaces that suggests she wasn't just aware of what was happening. She was comfortable with it. That comfort, that's the evidence. That's what Rob Schneider is reacting to. The network around Diddy wasn't just Ellen and Oprah. It expanded wider. Will Smith operated in those same same social lanes. According to Jaguar Wright, a direct insider, Will Smith was present for the corruption of young artists. Justin Bieber was in the room. Jaden Smith was in the room. Sources like Jaguar Wright have continuously alleged that Will Smith was present for the corruption of young artists like Bryce Gray, with witnesses like Justin Bieber and Jaden Smith reportedly in the room. Ellen's repeated proximity to this network placed her in these overlapping spaces. She wasn't on the outside looking in. She had the kind of access that suggested she knew what was happening. And the question Rob Schneider is asking is simple. How many young people were pulled into these worlds thinking it was an opportunity, only to leave changed forever? According to sources close to the investigation, there are tapes, multiple tapes, FBI possession. And according to whispers in comedy circles, there's one tape in particular that terrifies the elite. A tape involving Ellen. According to sources close to the investigation and whispered in comedy circles, there is a fear that a specific tape, one involving Ellen DeGeneres, might see the light of day. If Dave Chappelle is teasing this on stage, it suggests he has seen something or heard from someone who has. Dave Chappelle doesn't make accusations without evidence. He's been studying this. He's been careful. And if he's referencing a tape, it's because he knows something. Rob Schneider is saying the same thing in a different way. The people who tried to expose Ellen are gone. The people who spoke up had their careers destroyed. The system protects itself, but tapes don't lie. Footage doesn't forget. Before Ellen could face real consequences, before investigations could turn into charges, she made a strategic decision. She shut down her show. She left the country. She went to the UK. Before Ellen could be tried for this, however, she shut down her show and fled to the UK. Now she's trying to make a comeback with a Netflix special. That's not the move of an innocent person. That's not someone confident in their reputation. That's someone running. Rob Schneider's reaction to this is visceral.
So, does Ellen love dancing? Because if she loves dancing, it's like a Geico commercial. You're happier than Ellen at a wedding. Does she love dancing, or does she want you to think she loves dancing?
Exactly right. That's to the point where she incorporates it in every show, and you just watch her having fun and being a great host. And meanwhile, good luck finding anybody who has a nice word to say about her. Truly, I have yet to meet anybody.
The dancing was always fake. The kindness was always a performance. The entire persona was designed to obscure something darker underneath. What Rob Schneider is most angry about is the system that allows this. Not just Ellen's actions, the infrastructure that protects predators.
You know, when I was looking for a job, when I was a young actor, any men in positions of power who could use that power to abuse.
The system works like this. Power protects power. When someone tries to expose, they get destroyed. Their careers end. They get isolated. In some cases, they die. Aaron Carter spoke out. He's dead. Anne Heche spoke out. She's dead. Stephen Twitch spoke out. He's dead. Rob Schneider spoke out. His career was frozen. That's not coincidence. That's pattern. And that pattern suggests that those who died or were silenced knew something specific, something dangerous, something worth killing for. At some point, even the powerful have to acknowledge reality. Oprah released a statement about her school in Africa. She apologized. She acknowledged the sexual assault allegations. She even cited her own trauma.
Oprah ended up offering a public apology to the parents and the children and citing her own essay incidents in this apology.
But here's the thing. Apologies from the powerful aren't about accountability. They're about damage control. Oprah didn't apologize because she felt guilty. She apologized because the crimes were documented. The evidence was real. She had to say something. Ellen, in contrast, is still deflecting, still making jokes, still running. Rob Schneider is suggesting that's because Ellen's involvement goes deeper than Oprah's. Ellen's hands are dirtier. We're at an inflection point. Diddy is in jail, facing federal charges. The infrastructure of his network is being dismantled. Oprah shut down her school. She's facing scrutiny. Ellen fled the country and is trying to minimize her exposure with a Netflix special. But the tapes exist. The FBI has them. And according to Dave Chappelle and Rob Schneider, they're going to come out. When they do, it won't just be embarrassing for Ellen. It will be criminal. How many young individuals got pulled into these worlds thinking it was their shot at success, only to leave changed forever? And if these tapes surface, will Ellen DeGeneres face the music, or will she simply just disappear into the annals of disgraced celebrities? That's the question. And based on everything we know about how the system works, Ellen will try to disappear. Her lawyers will fight. Her money will buy silence. But Rob Schneider is saying that this time is different. This time, there are too many voices, too many people who've been hurt, too much evidence. The mask is slipping. The mask of comedy reality is starting to slip, revealing something much darker underneath. Rob Schneider has been exposing Hollywood corruption for years. He's paid a price for it. His career has been limited. People won't work with him. He's been isolated, but he's kept speaking because he understands something fundamental. Silence is the weapon that predators use. And if the people who know the truth stay quiet, then nothing changes. Rob believes that the agenda they're trying to deliver and the message they're sending is the same. Rob has claimed multiple times that people in positions of power in Hollywood have been using their influence to get access to young and impressionable child stars. That's the core crime, not the individual acts. The systematic access to vulnerable people, the deliberate construction of environments where exploitation can happen, the protection of those who participate in it. Ellen was part of that system, not as a victim, but as a perpetrator, as someone who used her platform, her access, and her social capital to participate in the harm. And now, as the evidence emerges, as the tapes surface, as more people find the courage to speak, Ellen's facing a reckoning. Rob Schneider's reaction is one of vindication. He's been saying this, he's been warning people, and now, finally, the rest of the world is catching up to what he's known all along. The story of Ellen DeGeneres isn't over. It's entering its most critical phase. The FBI has tapes. Dave Chappelle has evidence. Rob Schneider is corroborating. Multiple celebrities have spoken. The question now isn't whether Ellen is guilty. It's whether the system will finally hold her accountable, or whether, like so many others, she'll walk away from her empire and disappear into exile, her money and her lawyers protecting her from consequences. The answer might be waiting on those tapes,